Namaskar, this is Gaurav. Rashmi ji. Hello. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Thank you.
Just how do you know by how long would the meeting run for?
I put it for 45 minutes.
Okay.
If it runs over, it might be till to an hour, but not more. We'll try to finish.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Do you have a hard stop?
Yes, we have people coming over.
I see.
Yes.
Sure. Okay. We don't want to reduce your guests' quality of life, so we will.
So tomorrow's meeting also, I would be speaking over the web too, right?
Yes. So we can turn the video on, so because everyone's going to be on video today.
Oh,
so as well.
Give me 1 second. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Take your time.
Hello, Shobhaji. I can't hear you.
Shobhaji.
Namaste, Gaurav ji. Namaste, Rashmi ji.
We can hear you now. Yes.
Excuse me, I'm going to be having my tea.
It's not a problem. We have hot water.
Perfect thing for the weather.
Yes.
So should I mute myself right now?
If you feel like it, unless if you're going to sneeze on the video, maybe. Otherwise, it's okay.
So Gaurav ji, your yoga name is Ekras Gorak or something, or what
That
is
is
it?
right. Yeah. I do. That is my spiritual name that I use. And the reason I use that is a couple of reasons. One, it's a spiritual name, and two, it's my Google name. Because otherwise, I have a busy professional profile. I have a busy personal profile. I don't want those to be interfered with. Otherwise, if someone professionally is Googling me, they're going to find videos of me talking about Bhagavad Gita or something else. So people are confused about who they're dealing with. So it's easier for people to engage in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Why Ekras Gorak?
Why Akras? So Akras means one that has dissolved into the ocean and it's become one. And Goraknath is a very famous Nath. Namaskar. And his contribution, of course, is immense. But one of his big contributions is making meditation easier to and available to people. And of course, the Hindi word Gorak Dhanda comes from the same thing, because people could take those meditation techniques and create their own yoga institute.
Oh,
and
there's a word called Gorak Dhanda.
Gorak Dhanda means to do dhandli, which is to do shady business.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Gorak Dhanda literally means shady business.
Okay.
So, and it's called that because he made meditation so easy and approachable that anyone could become a meditation teaching guru based on his systems and practices. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
But the Gurkhas in Nepal, the Gorakhpur itself, and lots of places where Baba Gorakhnath is legendary, that he was here, and so on. So I'm hoping some of that rubs off.
It has definitely rubbed off, and then you should put your Benedict, give her your benediction to us also. So CHD.
Yeah. Behind me, you're seeing the Bhagavad Gita over here, and here I do a bunch of videos I record, so I have this set up.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Bhagavad Gita in what form? So all the 700 shlokas are there?
This is the full Gita. So I made it myself. What you're seeing here on the screen is chapter 1, chapter 2, 3, 4, and the left to right, it's all the 18 chapters.
Oh.
But they're vertically written. So they're written in a way that you can read them in Sanskrit all the way down.
Wow.
So the reason I wanted to do that was I write about and I teach the Bhagavad Gita. I wanted to see it all at one go, because otherwise you can't see the connection between here and here. You have to memorize all of it to be able to make the connection.
You have memorized all 700 of them?
No, I can recognize all 700, but I can't. I haven't
No,
memorized.
that's good. That's really good. I mean, I'm ashamed to say that I haven't read Gita fully. I mean, that's why actually I joined this course. So, I mean, I thought, that is my goal right now, to learn Patanjali, at least understand Patanjali Yoga Sutra and Bhagavad Gita.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, good. I think we have quorum. There's 6 people. More might join as we go along. So but we'll get started. We have a hard stop at 3:45 Pacific. So we will make the most of our time together. So to recap, what is our group? I will say it again because because we're starting, and I just want to make sure we are tracking. So I'll pull up the same presentation I've made earlier, but you've all seen it. So here's what we're trying to do. At the outermost level, we are interested in describing and defining quality of life. The reason we're doing that is, if you think about how countries and people and societies work, metrics and definition and common language is important. So if GDP is measured, then the entire economy works together to make the GDP grow. But then people are not happy. So then the king of Bhutan says gross national happiness is the thing we should grow. And now countries are beginning to look at that. The Hindu perspective on this is somewhat different. And that's what we're trying to get to here, which is, how do you define quality of life? And quality of life depends on your stage of life, depends on your context and your own mental framework. This is important because you can't improve the quality of life in the society if you don't have a common way of understanding it. So for example, there are diverse perspectives on quality of life. If you ask people how are they doing, they might say, well, my health is suffering, or I'm doing great, my kids are doing fine, or I'm retired, I'm really happy, and whatever. All of these ideas hint at the quality of life. And these are diverse perspectives. What is a good framework to use to bring all of these together? Now, Hindus have a very deep well of knowledge available to us. We have the concept of ashramas, which is stages of life. Santosh, which is which isn't quite. It's very hard to translate term, but I think all of us might understand it. Purusharthas are the 4 objectives of life. And of course, the 3 yogas, the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Now, how do these have an implication on quality of life? And synthesizing all of these into HCI's unified perspective. Now, I want to be clear. This so far, 1 through 4, is simply what the Hindu system says. Then we talk about 5 through 7, which is, well, there are other perspectives. The doctors, psychologists, economists, politicians, they're all thinking about quality of life. What are their perspectives? And then talking about, okay, now we're talking about how to improve quality of life through examples and making it real. The outcome of this, just to recap, is to actually write. Let me just come back. I should have written it over here. Is we want to be able to write the authoritative note on quality of life from HCI. This note might be the beginning of a future where next year's batch decides to enhance it further, or we start expanding into a wider group and we are able to have a wider conversation with government agencies, health agencies, and so on. And eventually, my dream is, in a few years, we should be able to fund PhD projects, and there'll be PhDs coming out with their own take on quality of life. Why is this important? Because only then, when there is research coming out, does it seep into public consciousness. And then there's, scientific-minded, academic-minded people are able to connect to academically articulated thought. If I say it just as a Hindu yogi, then they'll say, okay, a guy has a point of view and that's just that. If Dalai Lama says it as Dalai Lama, they might say, okay, one guy who's the head of a particular sect says it. But if you have a lot of theoretical research that's gone into it and PhDs have come out of it, then it becomes legitimate and people are able to do things about it. I'm going to finish this thought. Ideas matter. That's the thing I want to say. The reason we're still having, communists all over the world is because Karl Marx and his buddy created the system of capitalistic thought or communistic thought. And good or bad, those ideas have had a massive influence on society, even 150 years out. So ideas matter. And at this point, Hindu ideas of quality of life have not seeped into the public consciousness. And so we live, I think, quite poor quality lives. If we are able to change that, we will have made a difference to society. That's the backdrop. What we're trying to do in today's call is figure out how we will work. There will be a lot of thinking involved over here. We might simply begin by going around the table and asking each other to write what the quality of life might be, or just think about it. Then come at it from different angles and try to articulate quality of life from that point of view. Then synthesize. That's what we want to do. Not in all of this in today's call. Today's call, likely we're just going to talk about just the first couple of items. Is there someone in this group who types really fast or can write really fast? Yes, no? Not so much. Okay, if you're saying something, Shobhaji, I'm not hearing you. You're on mute.
Not so fast, yeah.
Not so fast. All right, so I will then, I will try to scribe, but you'll have to bear with my scribing style. Okay, well, I will create a mind map and then hopefully you can understand what's going on after my notes tend to be quite very personal, so only I understand what I'm saying with those notes. Okay, so I will just write it here. Okay. Okay, so let's go around the table, and if you could, I'm going to share my screen, and that way you can see what notes I'm taking. And if we could go around the table and just explore your thoughts on what quality of life is, and what might be ways of describing quality of life to someone outside our community of CHTs. Anyone can go, whoever has some thoughts.
Gauravji, just like you said, like in different stages of life, our quality of life is different, right? Our perspective is different.
Yeah.
So for I mean, people with young children, their health, I mean, children's, toddlers' health or something, that is more important. In a later stage, maybe their education is more important. So I think it keep, like how you say, like dharma keeps changing. I mean, the quality of life, also I think, I mean, the priority, all those things, the perspective, everything, I think keeps changing with different stages of life, I think.
Fair enough. Okay. What other thoughts?
And like emotional health, social health, how connected we are with our like family and friends, with the society.
Okay, so who's saying this? Sorry, I couldn't catch the name. Shobhaji, okay.
I think I will stop it.
We have a lot of Shobhajis here on today's call.
Yeah, I will stop right here so that we'll give chance to other people also to.
No, Shobhaji, you say it again. So you were saying this is connections, right?
A connection, like social and emotional connection, and then physical health.
Gauravji, I think
Spiritual health.
her speaking. Not that.
Gauravji, it's still Shobha Krishna.
Yeah.
Oh, this is Shobha Krishna ji.
Yeah,
I wasn't looking at the face I was typing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Good. Fair enough. Other point.
The other one is, I think, Shanti Ravi, not
Yeah,
Shobha.
Shanti.
Oh, sorry. What am I thinking? Sorry. I'm so confused. Sorry. Yes.
So
my take is having a meaningful, purposeful life. So it doesn't mean materialistic, but if we have a purpose and if we work towards it, it doesn't matter what stage we are in, what age we are in, but if we have a purpose, when we are young, when we are toddlers, growing is a very instinct, basic instinct is to grow physically and mentally, and from observing from the environment, we grow, we keep growing. But later, we have to create a purpose. At each and every stage, our purpose may change, but that purpose drives our quality of life. And working towards it, that process of that purpose itself is a very important for our quality of life.
Okay.
I could also say, if somebody says, how is life? Like for me, an example, and the person, we were waiting for my daughter's haircut at a salon, and she just said, how is life? And my daughter said, blah, blah, blah. And so I said, how is life for you? And yes, she said, good. And that made me change my perspective. Like a lady who is single mother, has this just way of saying life is good no matter what difficulty she is going through, makes me change my way of saying that, you know what, no matter what, life is really good. We are breathing. Life is good. So for me, when anybody asks nowadays if how is life, and my answer is life is good. I mean, I learned a lot from that lady because it's very simple.
Okay, I get it. So therefore attitude.
Yes, attitude. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I understand. That's a good point. What else?
I think it is just what you get from the community and give back to the community also. That is a part of the quality of life. You're just not at the receiving end, but also giving it back.
Okay, good. Okay, great point.
And I agree with whatever Shanti ji was saying, because toddlers' health, student grades, those are all basically, I consider it as our own basic duty. You know, as parents, we take care of our children, and as a student, I'm supposed to do well. I have certain responsibilities to myself, but what we imbibe from the community and what we tend to give back is more important.
Okay. Okay. So what you do for yourself is one thing, but more than simply what you do for yourself. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Okay. What else?
I think like Rashmi ji was saying, it is the attitude in life, like, you know, basically, which dictates how you lead the quality of life, you know.
Sure.
And for that, I think some of your life lessons are a great teacher. It doesn't matter how much you read, what you experience teaches you what attitude you develop in life.
Okay. Okay, that's a great point. In fact, I was putting up some research, which is interesting, where there's a graph of subjective quality of life. I'm going to see if I can get it. And interestingly, it selects subjective quality of life. Just one second, let me just pull up the graph. It's actually quite fun because it says that life quality, subjective quality goes down, down, down until a certain age, and then it goes right back up. At between 45 to 50, people tend to start improving their experience of life tends to become better over time. So let me see. I'll find it. When I find it, I'll share that link with you. Okay.
I would like to bring to, you know, notice the Maslow's pyramid that we learned sometime back. You know, like the basic human needs need to be fulfilled before we can go on to the self-fulfillment or self-actualization. So once they are met, then maybe we can work on our,
Agreed.
Yeah. Purpose, meaning, you know, of course they are very important. We have to have a purpose and meaning in life. So.
Okay, good. What else? What other thoughts?
I would say emotional strength or psychological strength, like Arti said, it's like, acceptance, to live in the present, to equanimity, and all those we learn from the psychology, ACT, right? That hexagonal, the ACT.
Action and commitment therapy.
Yeah. Acceptance, equanimity, looking at things as an experience instead of, right now something bad is happening, so just be indulging so much in what is going on right now, instead of taking it as, hey, this is all part of life, let's move on to the, let's progress, or this is just an experience. We looking at.
Is that what you're saying? So you're saying all of this will keep moving, charavati, right? Okay. Understood. So this will keep happening. Ups will come, downs will come. It's not.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
That emotional strength is really, really, really very important, I think, to have a very good quality of life, because at any point we will learn to live in the present, not think about what happened in the past, or think too much about the future, and not living life right now with what we have.
Okay.
To accept what we have, be grateful, and those are very, very important. That, from my own experience, I have learned that.
Okay. So we're getting a sense of some of the cures or something that we might have. Okay. Okay. What else? So I want to add a couple of things just to make this conversation, just disturb the conversation a little. Let me pick up one idea here, and I'll pick up another idea here. So Shantiji, what you were saying reminded me of something that I should have paid attention to earlier, which is, what did I say? I thought I wrote it, but I didn't, obviously. So you said something about attitude toward time, and I think that's an interesting position where, because we are psychologically always rushed, because that's what the world is today, it's very rushed, we are never able to enjoy our life as it is, and it might be truly not a bad time at all, whatever the circumstances. Attitude towards time are quite important. And here I wanted to talk to you about this, which is, in the Caribbean, there's this idea of something called liming, which is simply just lying down and doing nothing. Right? You just sharing food, drink, conversation, and laughter. It's just a cool island culture. And what they found was that this might seem laziness, as of course it is, but it has a significant impact on their creativity and their experience of life. Because what do they have? They have conversations with their friends, they're laughing, they're eating and drinking together. And so they're able to not feel rushed. And that gives them a much higher quality of life. That's one thought that I remember reading a lot about. Another is this. I have to tell you this story just as a 2-minute aside. This is the guy, sorry about the scrolling, Arthur C. Brooks. He is a very, very well-known conservative. He runs a conservative think tank. So conservatives are Republican, and therefore you would have a certain attitude towards who they are. This guy decides to retire from his job as the head of the think tank, which is fine. Then he writes this note saying, your professional decline is coming much sooner than you think. So far, so good. Now here's the interesting part. He looks for an answer. He says, look, I am doing really well for myself. I'm the head of a think tank, which is very influential. So I have no problems being the head of this think tank. But I still don't feel the same sense of excitement and energy and enthusiasm about my work as I did previously. So he goes looking for answers. And where does he find an answer? he finds an answer in a place called Palakkad. Some of you might know the place. And he meets a Swami. And the Acharya says, oh, you Americans are just having it wrong. He says, of course you're unhappy. He says, you're doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, which is, this guy's about mid-50s. He says, this is the time for Vanaprastha, right? You're still trying to make it big in the world when it's time for Vanaprastha. And if you're doing that, well, no surprises, you're going to be unhappy, right? And so this conservative think tank guy, what is his recommendation? He says, therefore, to enjoy this stage of life, I will do the following 3 things. He calls it Vanaprastha. He's not hiding it. He says, I'm going to serve, I'm going to worship, and I'm going to connect, which is quite, I would imagine, what any Swami anywhere would have told anyone about Vanaprastha, which is learn to serve. Don't just live for yourself. Learn to live in a particular way. And so your, Shantiji, your point about being grateful and being connecting with the divine, that comes out here. So that's what I wanted to say, that this is the reason I'm very excited about the quality of life, because I think non-Indian people want this, but Indian people don't know how to say it. And all we're doing is saying what the Indian people already know.
And also now at this age, like when we are in the 50s, we are going to find a new purpose. So all these years we worked for the family, we had responsibilities, and we had motivation to do that.
Yeah.
Now, after we become empty nesters, our kids are all married, settled, whatever, then we feel like, what are we doing right now? So now we have to find a new purpose. And that is, like you said, Gauravji, it's so beautiful to serve, to connect, and to worship. Yeah. And that, I think, naturally we lean towards it. But when my husband and I, we were talking, and he was like, he is in that situation where he doesn't know what to do anymore, because my daughter is married, my son is working right now, and he is like, I don't know, I don't have motivation at all to work. Then he comes to me and he says, okay, I want to serve. It comes naturally for us. I think it's our way of life and all that. I want to serve. So, and he's become very pious too, worship. And he wants now, no matter what misunderstandings he had before with his family, he's really letting it go. And he's really connecting back with all of them. So this is really, really wonderful. All these 3 points make a lot of sense to me right now.
Okay, so let me write these out: serve, connect, and worship, right? And we will remember these when we come back. All right. What other thoughts do you have on quality of life based on the conversation so far?
I recommend liming. We do it as a girls group while hiking. We don't drink, but
Liming, right?
It is a recharge method to recharge.
Yeah, I think
Gauravji, one point, I think the minimalist, having the less thing also give you happiness.
Yes, I agree totally here.
Yeah.
I think santosha or contentment.
Yeah, kind of contentment, and in less we should be content, and reduce our desires, reduce our collections, and those. Reducing the lies, actually, going to minimum.
Okay, so reducing desires, reducing, and having less. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, we have a group, Gauravji. We chant Vishnu Sahasranamam, but then we have become very good friends. So we meet once every weekend. On Saturday we meet. So like you said, that liming, we gossip, we chat, we do everything. But it's kind of, it takes all the pressure away, and it's kind of relaxing meeting with the friends. And I think that's also great.
Yeah. So I agree. I think the educational system I went through in India gave me the sense that, look, being a type A personality, being always about getting things done was the key to success. And that probably was the key to success. The problem is it wasn't a key to satisfaction. And that became a challenge where people don't learn how to enjoy their current state. They're always moving to some other place. All right. Okay, now let me ask you a different question just to...
Gauraji, loneliness, when we talk about liming, right, then that loneliness effect comes.
Okay.
Definitely. That because right now, I'm coming to know from many of my friends how this middle school kids, they suffer a lot, I think, mainly because of this digitalization. You know, they are on the phone all the time, they are on iPad or whatever online, but they are not getting together with their friends and play like we used to do. They are missing that big time. And kids have so many issues because of that loneliness.
Okay.
Especially this middle school kids. Great. They are finding it really, really difficult to, to talk to their parents, they have big fights, like they run away from home like that. So that is happening. And like right now, because we all are here, we all are nuclear families. It's like very small families. We don't have grandparents who can go and talk to them and all that. It's not a big family. And we know neighbors don't talk to each other here. That isolation is very, very bad for the quality of life.
Okay, that's a great point. All right, this is a great point actually. No, I see what I did there previously. I think isolation. Okay, so we get
the
into
bottom brown line is by Savita Garg ji.
Sorry, I was sorry. Okay, they get it? Okay. Okay, now I want to ask you a different question. Now tell me, what is the experience? How would you describe, in as many words as you need, the experience of quality of life?
I didn't understand the question.
It's like, what if you said that you had quality of life, what will that experience be like?
Exactly.
It'll be like happiness. It'll be like when I was a child, innocent, happy, living in the present, be in the present all the time, no worries. Just cry when you cry, be happy when you are happy, and take life as it comes, no big plans.
Okay. Okay, keep going. I mean, other people can chime in. I'm typing furiously.
I would say you knowing that you are loved and that you have support and you are cared for.
That's very good, yes.
So there is research on older couples where they found this very clear thing, that if there is a less perceived sense of isolation, there is a much higher health outcome, versus people who are lonely, whether their spouse is there or not. The lonelier they are, the worse their health is.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We can be lonely in a crowd too, right, Gauravji?
Yeah.
So that is also there.
Okay. Okay. So what is the experience? Right now our question is, okay, how does it feel when you feel a high quality of life? I think that's what we're saying.
Gauraji, you feel satisfied, whatever comes to you, when you feel satisfied and don't feel that you're lacking something, that kind of experience gives you the good quality of life.
Basically. Okay. So So I'm hearing these two words. I'm just right. So swastha and santosha, right? The swastha is being comfortable and in a good state of health, and being swastha, which is being seated inside oneself. And santosha, of course, is what we just talked about. Tushti, the sense of being full, satisfied, is santosha.
Guruji, interconnected with, each other, with people, with all the other living beings, and also the environment.
Okay. So
Because knowing that, plants and trees, how important they are, part of our life, and all the other living beings too, being interconnected, that dharma.
Okay, so this actually comes to the next word, which is dharma, right? Which is a high state of dharma. It gives you a dharma being the connection between everyone.
Yes.
That gives you a sense of stability, or just a sense that you might call as quality of life.
Yeah, the sense of belonging, would you say?
Yeah, a sense of belonging. I will write that. Okay, what else? How else does it feel? Just go back to a time when you did feel a high quality of life. Maybe it is right now, maybe it was sometime in the past. How did you feel? Do you have any words or approximate? And this might be a Hindi, Tamil, Sanskrit word, it doesn't matter. But if there is a word that you can use, what would that be?
Maybe you made a difference in someone's life, or you matter. Your existence matters to someone, at least.
Okay. Okay.
I think one word would be santrupti, where you are content with yourself.
Okay, I'm writing with the North Indian spelling pattern without the H, but you know what I'm talking about. Bangalore is my second hometown, so I know where to write the H's, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, what else? What else? So for example, you've just had grandkids, right? Does that change your subjective experience? Is there a word you have for it? It's not pride, but it's something else. What is that word?
Garoji, as you say that as you are aging, I'm feeling I am having better quality of life.
I pull up the chart. It's quite
yeah. Sudden. Definitely, because I think you feel that you have done your responsibility, and you are not having responsibilities now. So that's another like kandhe se bhar utar gaya.
Okay. That is exactly what it is. Okay. So a weight off my shoulder. This is a
it's like a Hindi word ki kandhe se bhar utar gaya hai. Both are not doing their own. Yes. And another thing now, we can enjoy our grandkids. So having the grandkids, because when we were growing up, when we had our own kids, we didn't have time to enjoy because a lot of work. But now, relaxed, not that much of things, so we can enjoying especially the time with the kids.
We use this word, so a certain sense of enjoyment is what you're saying.
Enjoyment, and because we have the time now and don't have the responsibilities, so that giving enjoyment is more now. We can.
Okay, so not having responsibilities by having fulfilled them, or by having having forfeited them.
Yeah, you're feeling fulfilled life, that you have now your life was fulfilled now with everything. So that is giving me quality of life.
So not in the rat. What I mean by this is either the race is over because I'm done and retired, or the race is over because I'm no longer going to run it. To hell with it. Okay. So here I wanted to show you these charts. This is also interesting. I was looking for some other report, but this is good enough for now. where life satisfaction levels tend to decline all the way to about 45, 47. And apparently this is at age 47 when you've hit rock bottom. And then after that, massive increases in like unprecedented levels of life satisfaction result.
Yeah.
Until later, where health related decline might impact life satisfaction, but this is the sort of golden period.
Right.
It also correlates with anxiety levels where there are things you want to achieve by this age, and then you're like, forget it, I'm not going to care, and now you're just so much better off anxiety wise.
Correct.
Right? And that might correspond to our ashramas as well. Okay, good. Now, any other thoughts that you have remaining on the experience of life? The reason I'm asking this is we are filling a void where we don't have a language for satisfaction or quality of life, and because we don't have a language, we don't know how to talk about it.
Mhm.
And in our language, we have these terms: swastha, santosha, santrupti. I would write dharma, and ananda I would write, because ananda is a very undefinable experience, right? Which is if someone says, there is a joke I heard as a child where this anyway, the punchline was this lady telling a young man, "Beta bahut kiyo, lekin anand ko nahi aayo." So the point is that if you keep looking for ananda, am I happy now? Am I satisfied? Do I have this experience of bliss? Then you don't have it. And the whole point of this liming thing was you don't care for it, and therefore you have it. And that's the part that I think also needs to be covered here, where there is a positive experience that underlies being a human, but because of the noise and the rush, we don't pay attention to it. But it is there, and our word for that is ananda. So that's another word. Okay, sorry. Any other words or thoughts that you have before we wrap this call up?
Just saying the same thing what you said right now in another term, like there's a saying, like, you don't go chasing after butterflies, you grow flowers and they will come. So like happiness is elusive, like you don't go chasing after it. Be right.
Yeah.
Be happy, and then
Okay, do you think don't go chasing? Okay, so there is a sense that, look, it's an indirect experience, this quality of life. It's not that if I have these, if I have oatmeal in the morning, then I will have satisfaction. It's that you will have satisfaction by doing things, not by wanting it. Okay.
And I don't know if Shobhaji mentioned or someone mentioned, right? To be loved and to love.
Okay, so we should say it here: to be loved, to love and be loved. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, like knowing you have support and loved. Yeah. We have written here.
Oh yeah, it's there.
Okay. So no, you have, okay, yes, you're right. Okay, so this sense of connection is what you're saying, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So would you say, if I'm trying to push the thoughts here, we're saying if someone feels connected to their community, their family, the trees around their house, the world as it is, they have a better state of mind or quality of life than someone, say, who's rich. I noticed that no one has mentioned money, by the way. So I'm wondering, why is that?
We have experienced that too. So when I was young, it's not that we were rich, but those were the happiest moment in my life.
So I agree, and thanks for bringing that up. I've often noticed, I used to do a lot of business travel for 13 years, and every time I land in India, I'm in an air-conditioned car, unhappy with the long flight I've been in. I come out, and there are people on the street walking with and talking with their friends, and they look really happy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, why is this person so much happy, and I'm jet setted to India, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
But we can't deny that money, for to some extent we do need money, but then it won't. I mean, after some time, there is a,
like you mentioned, Shobhaji, that Maslow's needs. So if once your basic needs are there, then nothing more is required.
Okay. Now, in the last couple of minutes of this call, which person would like to lead in sort of summarizing this so far for the rest of the group? You don't need to be a fast typer, you just need to be a typer.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, so Shantiji, I will send this all to you. I'll send you the visual that we made. And I may also send you the call recording if it's recorded. I think it's being recorded. Okay, great. What we want to do is synthesize all of this. These are all a lot of ideas. There might be more ideas that come, but today we've had a good conversation around it. Is it this time okay for everyone to meet every Saturday?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there, I would like to ask you to just think about the experience of quality of life through this week and just send messages out on the chat group. If there are thoughts you have on the experience.
Okay.
Right? How do you experience it is the question that I have. Right? So, and I'll send that out on text. Great. Anything else we need to cover? Sorry.
Maybe I was thinking we can prepare a questionnaire and ask people, because we keep meeting so many people, family, friends, and then maybe places where we go work and go teach somewhere. So maybe we can ask them and take their perspective, right? So for each one, they have different, I mean, I know basic things are common to everyone, but.
Okay. So Shubhaji, would you mind taking a lead on that?
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I would like help from all of you. I mean, what questions would be relevant, you know?
That's okay. You can drive that.
Okay, sure.
Summarize, today's call, Shanti. Okay. Anything else we need to cover between now and next week? Okay.
Anything that the previous batch has done about?
No, we didn't cover quality of life at all. I have a question. If I need one more volunteer for this one, is there someone who can collect stories of people or situations that describe some of these ideas? So the reason we need to start collecting stories is simply either our own or somebody else's. When we explain these ideas to somebody else, it'll be good to tell those ideas through stories. Otherwise, it's a lot of words.
Can I give you an example, Gauravji? Can it be like a mythological story? Is that
it doesn't matter what story is it? Mythological.
Yeah, you know, it's just the king. He will ask, I want to go, he'll ask his minister, go find the happiest man in my kingdom.
Yeah.
And he will bring people, but they'll say, oh no, I'm not. Somehow they'll figure that they're not happy in certain moments and they are happy in some other time. So at last, this minister, he'll go and find a beggar. He doesn't have any belonging. He doesn't have anything, but he's happy all the time, right?
Yeah.
So that is a small story. So he will take him to the king, and he will understand that, you know, all these desires, belongings, and all these things doesn't bring, you know, actually kills happiness. The true happiness is the state of mind, or how we perceive things, and a thing like that. So is that story okay? Those kind of stories?
Yeah, those kind of stories are fine as well. By the way, I think one of those stories is that of Raikwa. This is from the Chandogya Upanishad. That of king asking some people to look. Anyway, so okay, we need someone to collect the stories. Who will that be? That's my question.
We can all pitch in, Gaurav. Whatever stories we have.
We'll do it.
Yeah. Oh.
We need someone to volunteer. We'll all pitch in, but someone needs to collect.
I can collect the stories.
Gaurav, we can also just have a Google Drive and just put it in there so that
nice idea.
Compiling it there.
Okay. So what will happen is each of these ideas that we're discussing, especially the ones after we've digested them and we've consolidated them into maybe 5-10 ideas, then, for example, swastha or santosha, we're going to have to find stories to articulate that from our life, from people we've heard, or from mythological or legendary stories is fine. So things that cannot be articulated in one word or one small phrase, we have to tell a story around those. Okay.
I
So
can create a Google Drive and add all of us so that people, when they collect the stories, they can just put it there.
That's a great idea. Everybody can put the story there. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is visible to every one of us as well.
Okay. So Arti ji, you're doing it, not Rashmi ji?
Yeah, I will do the Google Drive and Rashmi can drive the rest of the project.
Okay.
Okay.
It will be a joint effort.
For collecting story. Okay, I have a bunch of articles that I would like to share as well. So Arti ji, I will send those articles to you.
Sure.
And yeah.
Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
Wonderful. Great. All right. So I will see you next week. Thank you very much. And I will send you the note, Shanti ji. I will send you this map.
So Gauraji, do I go ahead and add everybody who is on the
Everyone on the group. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
No,
I'll send this call recording to everyone so that they have access to it.
Okay, okay. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Namaskar. Have a good weekend.
And are we meeting next Saturday as well?
Sorry? Yeah, tomorrow, next week, same Saturday is fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Please wash your hands. Namaskar.
Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you. Thank you, Gauraji.